Okay. Okay. And check one thing, Doc. And we are live with the Louis B. Free Radio Show, Brain Food from the Heartland. I am just delighted to have returning to the show Dr. Michael Roizen, and he's joined also with Albert Ratner. Dr. Roizen, delighted and honored to have you back.
It's my honor, Louis. So we always have fun talking. So that's the joy of this is, and it's going to be fun to be 40 when you're 90.
Yeah, and I want to get into. I was fascinated. I am fascinated by the new book, The Great Age Reboot. And Albert Ratner, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a old real estate developer. I'm going to be 95 years old. I argue with Michael. It's 95 is the new 40, but I'm going to be 95 years old. I have total of 18 stents, and I'm doing fine. I work every day. I wake up happy. Since we've written the book, I've become younger and feel better. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, 95.
Well,
Wow.
I should tell you, he was CEO and chair of the board of Forest City Enterprises, a real estate firm, for 25 years. So Forest City developed Barclays Place. They developed the New York Times building. They redeveloped Stapleton. He's being modest. The reason we got to do this is he started trash talking me in ping pong. We used to play ping pong every Saturday, but before we would play, he would try and divert my attention by saying, "What's happening in medicine?" And I would tell him about these 14 areas of research that we described in the book that are changing. They're looking at the basic mechanisms of aging and have changed aging in at least 2 different animal species in each of the 14 areas. And he would say, if that's going to happen, we're going to have a lot of changes in the demography. We're going to have a lot of changes in what we need in housing and building. And that's how we started. And then I would keep pushing on him on that, trying to get him diverted from concentrating on ping pong too. And then he brought in a friend of his, economist Peter Linneman, who's the third author, to talk about what happens with the economics of this if this actually comes to pass. And we think with 14 shots on goal, it'll come to pass, meaning 90 will be the new 40 with a 80% probability. You probably really early in your career, and obviously early in my writing career, in the first book, Real Age, we predicted that 60 would be the new 40. It is. That's come to pass, and now we think that 90 will be the new 40. So you've got a lot more years of doing this with us.
Well, I'm delighted. I'm delighted for that. Dr. Roizen, just a little bit about your background, if you would.
So I'm both an internist and an anesthesiologist, boarded in both. I ran the anesthesia, critical care, pain management, and executive health at the Cleveland Clinic. The reason I did both of those is when I started training, they didn't have ICU training programs, and I wanted to run an ICU. And so that's some of my history. I'm somewhat of a science nerd. As I was chair of the department, the institute at the Cleveland Clinic, and then they asked me, Toby Cosgrove, when he was CEO, asked me to be chair of wellness. And so I chaired 2 institutes, the Cleveland Clinic, and have that. And before that, chaired anesthesia, critical care, pain management, executive health at the University of Chicago. And before that was ran cardiovascular anesthesia in an ICU at the University of California in San Francisco.
Wow. And what drew you originally to medicine?
When I was 9 years old, I was sicker than heck. I probably had something like strep throat, but I was, in the vomiting and horrible feeling. and a doc came over and gave me a shot, probably at that time streptomycin or penicillin. And within 6 hours, I felt better. And I said, that's what I want to do too, help
Wow.
people feel better. And so ever since age 9, I've focused on becoming a physician.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. That is great. When you say came over and gave you a shot, those were the old days, right? When docs would make
That's
phone calls. Yeah, I remember that.
I'd like
So
to add one thing to that, which is I had a friend of mine 40 years ago that said, as you get older, you have to have two kinds of friends. You have to have maitre d's and doctors.
yeah,
So,
okay.
so this
See,
is a doctor's
okay.
job is to keep me going.
I've got to ask, who is the better ping pong player,
Um,
or is it
we
even?
he asks for points all the time, but doesn't need them, and he normally wins about 65% of the game. So he is a little better.
And the ones he wins, he cheats on.
Oh no! Wait a second. That
I'm not,
is not true.
Mr. Ratner, I don't know how you cheat at ping pong, but that was great.
What do
I'm
you call it? You call it out when it's in. I mean, he can
not,
give
okay,
you
okay,
all
yeah.
kind of list. He can give you 35 ways to cheat.
Well, that's the next book. 35 ways to cheat at ping pong, right?
Right.
The research, I mean, I just, again, when I opened the book, and folks, the book available everywhere and everywhere online, The Great Age Reboot, Cracking the Longevity Code for a Younger Tomorrow. And two of the authors, my guests, Albert Ratner and Dr. Michael Roizen. When I first opened it and I saw all of the pages with all the things like from Science and Neuroscience News and Financial Times, Bloomberg, about all the different things that are happening. I marveled at it, and then of course starting to read the book and learning about, we having the what ifs and about uh, uh, 3D printing a new organ, robotic surgeries, etc. How did Tell me a little bit about doing the research for it, if you would, Doc.
Well, this is, as you probably know, I am a science nerd, and have been interested in aging and aging mechanisms. The reason that an anesthesiologist or someone running an ICU would be interested in that is that the main determinant of outcome after surgery, that is the main complication rate, assuming technical skill is there, is in fact your age, your physiologic age. So the real reason we started Real Age was to help motivate patients and to teach other people how to get 10 to 20 years younger in the 2 weeks surrounding their surgery. Every 10 years younger reduces your complication rate threefold. So someone who is 75 and undergoing aortic valve reconstruction has ninefold the risk of someone who's 55. So the goal was to make people 20 years younger. Since I was in this field, I kept looking at it, and the amazing thing is it's taking this exponential leap. The Human Genome Project, we used to think that you exercise to improve your blood vessel flexibility, to improve your heart function, but it actually changes which of your genes are on or not, and actually improves brain function as well. You're a genetic engineer. So when you stress a muscle, not only do you improve heart function and um, the blood vessels, but you turn on a gene in that muscle that produces a small protein called a that goes to your brain. It turns and in turn turns on a gene called brain-derived neurotrophic growth factor producing. All genes do is make proteins. They're protein factories, but whether they're on or not are under your control. And that brain-derived neurotrophic growth factor grows your hippocampus, grows your memory center. It's the only area in the body that really matters because memory and cognitive function are so important. And so when you stress a muscle, the reason that's so good for your brain and for keeping you young is it actually grows and makes your brain bigger. Now, one of the keys in that, one of the things that Albert was doing was playing ping pong. The best game, the best games for stressing muscles, it turns out, are games that make you switch direction quickly. We don't know why those are so good, but tennis and badminton and ping pong and squash and racquetball and now pickleball, those are just outstanding for brain functioning. So you want to do something. Albert always says, we want to do something. This is really sunshine, not castor oil. So if you don't like walking, you play pickleball. If you don't like pickleball, you play ping pong or you play with your grandkids. Every one of these physical activities is a benefit to not only your heart and your blood vessels and not only your immune system, because it turns on the right genes for that too, but also for your brain. So
I can give you an example of what Michael was talking about. I had my first heart attack in Italy when I was 70 years old. This year, I had my third pacemaker put in. My first two lasted that long, and it was done in March. And if I live to outlive the battery, I'll be 102. And that
Wow.
has happened to me because I got to know Michael and I was healthy enough so that when I went through my 18 stents, which is what I have now, I'm still able to survive and lead a very, very normal, full, happy life. And it's because I was in the conditions I was in when all the corned beef that my grandmother fed me caught up with me.
so
How,
and
that's
he
fascinating.
another one of those areas of research is what we call photomodulation. That is using light energy to help change you. So people were, I was always skeptical. I said, "How does the light? It doesn't even penetrate." No, if you shine a light on your finger, for example, I'll do that with a phone. If you shine a light on your finger, it goes right through. And in fact, it turns out that red light in specific wavelengths helps give you more energy. This is crazy, right?
Yeah,
Helps
yeah.
give you more energy because it stimulates the energy transfer chain in your mitochondria. The mitochondria are, if you will, the energy factories of your cell. They take fat and sugar and turn it into ATP. Well, it turns out that red light bypasses the first few steps of that and increases your ATP production. So one of the other things he did was he got a red light for his wound, which wasn't healing, and it healed very quickly on his pacemaker incision. So that's also been used though for other things to decrease aging. So that's one of the aging areas, and what we call energy medicine or photomodulation. It's one of the 14 areas that may, at least in animal models, gets to reboot the animals to a younger age.
Before we get any further, let me tell you the good news. Good
This
news
all
is
sounds like good news. Go ahead.
how much longer you're going to live. So just think of this. If you today are 25 years old or younger, you we believe will live to 125. So you have 100 more years of life, and Michael can explain to you what that life will be like. If you are 75 years old, you have 25 more years of life. Our definition of longevity, it is the great disruptor, but our definition isn't the day you were born and the day you died. It's from the day you died and the number of years you have where you are healthy, productive, and enjoying life. And what we believe is that disruption comes from when you're 65, you sit in a wheelchair and you retire. Because 65, I keep saying it's 94. It's any number you can get to. But the key to it is both medical and it's also psychological. It's your passion, it's the people you love, and the people that love you back. So, Michael, talk about the medical things we'll come back to, but what are the other things
Let
that
me just
make it different?
let me just show you one more thing. Since you can
Again, for for
see the red
listeners,
light goes, the light goes through my finger. In fact, I was surprised, but the average penetration of red light in the human body is around 9 inches. Which, looking at us, many of us aren't 9 inches thick, so obviously red light can help us as well. So that's one of the areas. So the point, if you will, is you get to do a lot of choices that are, if you will, help you prepare for this. So we went over physical activity and stressing a muscle, but the key is to do things you love and that love you back, as he said. So one of the things you need to do as we go on, the most important ager is in fact stress, and the best things for stress, we said way back in, if you will, in 20 some years ago on your show, we said it is friends and purpose. Well, we now call it posse and purpose. Posse, purpose, and pleasure, I guess, are the three things. So you want to do things you love, but posse takes nurturing. When you're a child, when you're young, you've got friends from school and from sports, but as we get older, and especially doing remote work, um, it's harder to have friends, so you need to nurture them. And so part of the whole process is nurturing friends. But there are, as I said, this is actually in the animal models, you actually get rebooted back to a younger self. And let me give you an example of some two inexpensive, of those 14 areas. So I'm flipping back and forth a little bit, but two of
right, go ahead.
the the inexpensive ones. One is plasma donation. So plasmapheresis, you actually, kids get paid for donating plasma, right? So graduate students get through school. Well, it turned out this came from the young blood to old blood studies of the convoys way back in 1960s at the University of California, where they gave young rat blood to an old rat, and the old rat became younger.
Wow.
We then thought, everybody in the research area of this area thought it was actually something in the blood. Well, it turns out it is something in the blood, but it's getting rid of old proteins. And so by donating a unit of blood, you are getting rid of old proteins, and that makes you younger. In mouse models, guinea pig models, even other such larger mammals, and I'll get to humans in a second, it makes the muscles younger, makes the cardiovascular system younger, your pancreas, your liver. When they've done biopsies after doing repeated plasma donations, 5 or 10 of them, all of those things look like the animal is 20 to 40 years younger in human terms, meaning they regress from a 100-week-old rat to a 40-week-old rat. Um, Now that's progressed to studies in humans called the AMBAR studies, AMBAR, where they've done this with people with early dementia. So it's in the book as the AMBAR studies. You can Google AMBAR. It's at our website at greatagereboot.com, where this has been done in early dementia, donating a unit of plasma each week for 5 weeks, and then a unit of plasma once a month for the next 4 months. So over 5 months, 9 donations. At 15 months, every one of the cognitive domains, 12 studied, every one of the brain function domains studied, reversed dementia. This wasn't slowing the progress, this was actually reversing and gaining cognitive function back. That was a 300-person randomized study called the AMBAR study. They're now doing, and that was a 2B, 3A. The FDA has now said that if they repeat that in a larger study and you get the same results, they're going to approve that for treatment of early dementia and Alzheimer's disease. It's called the AMBAR. They're now in the first study was done two places in Spain, two in Chile, University of Pittsburgh and Cleveland Clinic in the United States. It's now going to be done in, I understand, 100 sites, 3,000 patients, same type of randomized controlled trial to see if this holds. But if it holds, just imagine, not only does it make your skin younger or your muscles younger or your pancreas or heart, but it makes your brain younger. So that's tremendous.
Go ahead.
Not very expensive.
No.
Now, second one is at the Gladstone in San Francisco and at the Cleveland Clinic. They use quantum computers. The clinic has the IBM, works with IBM on IBM's quantum computer, the next, if you will, phase, and looked at the quaternary structures, the fourth degree structure of every drug approved by the FDA that's already turned generic. There's some over 1,500 of them. At San Francisco, they found that Bumex, very inexpensive. So this is one of the areas of the 14 areas we call AI, artificial intelligence. But they use this and they found that butamethadine, a $4 a month water pill, blocked the attachment of amyloid and tau to brain cells and to glia cells. And then they looked at a 12 million person database, and those people who had been on it had a 70% reduction in Alzheimer's and dementia over their lifetime of taking this water pill, this cheap water pill. So it's now started a randomized controlled trial with that to prospectively see if you can prevent it. So these studies are underway. Another one, the Cleveland Clinic group found that Viagra did the same thing, 69% reduction in dementia risk in the 15 million person database. So that's another one that's undergoing. Let me give you, and then, so those are the reasons we think at one time in the future, you're going to go in a if you will, a car wash at one end is 90 and come out 40 at the other end. But for now, it's organ by organ. So the last third of the book, the first third is on the science. The middle third is on the population and economics and why this will create a boom and how you can make it good for you. And the last part is on what you can do now. And every one of the scientific advisory board members has changed behavior in some way. This is amazing because there are 10 people who are experts in longevity and everyone changed behavior. I'm going to show you something I did differently. So this is crazy. This is $5 a month, creatine, right? And it builds, this is what young kids use to build muscle, right? It's the Arnold Schwarzenegger supplement. It's a protein supplement that helps you build muscle and make it look even bigger. Well, it turns out it also prevents frailty in us old people by helping us build muscle. But in the randomized controlled trials that looked at this, they also measured cognitive function, and it improved brain function in those seniors who are on it. It's literally $5 a month.
Let me give you just three of the things that I learned from this that have changed what I've done. The first thing is I always watch basketball games till 3 o'clock in the morning. And I read in the book that you have to get between 6.5 and 7 or 8 hours of sleep, no less, no more. So I've changed and I now look at my iPad to find out what happened, but I feel much better.
So you don't stay up to watch the
I
games?
don't stay up to watch the games. The second thing that happened is I eat during daylight because when you eat late at night, the calories weigh very differently. And the third thing I learned is there are a whole bunch of things I don't like. So my whole life was concentrating. I don't like broccoli. I don't like this. My mother used to say to me, don't tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you do like. So what's happened to me is I've changed from the foods they give me that I don't like to the foods I can eat that love me and love me back. And those three things, I've lost about 18 pounds, not trying to lose the weight, but I'm getting more sleep, I'm eating better. So those three things. And in the book, they give you 25 or 30 or 50 things that you can do for the brain. The other thing, Michael, talk about the app that we released yesterday.
So this is tough to do, obviously, to do all these things by yourself. So you do want a buddy. And we also have an app that helps you walk through it and progressively improve, progressively add things. It goes through the science. People have asked us about over 50 supplements. So it goes through 180 things plus the 50 supplements and the science. It's a Reboot Your Age app. There's a 10-day free trial of it at our website at greatagereboot.com.
Yeah.
I'll show the book again so people know the name. The website is the same
Yeah.
name,
Reboot.
greatagereboot.com. But the app literally day by day helps you choose things you want to do and then add to them. So it's got a My Choices count component, which does medication tracking and also looks at drug interactions. But it also keeps, so it's got on there, one of the things I have is sleep 6.5 hours or more a night. So I check that off daily, and which medications and which supplements I take, I check off daily. And it goes through what things you want. I play brain games, and it goes over the brain. It
Fantastic.
adds that in because we have Brain HQ, the best speed of processing game, is integrated into it. We have a sleep app integrated. It integrates from Google and from the Pixel phones, the Android phones, Samsung, as well as Apple phones into it to get your physical activity as well. So it does all those things.
And the most important thing about all of this is there is no route for you to go other than the route you choose. So this is not castor oil, it's sunshine. You decide how you're going to make a better life for yourself. And that's the only thing that can go wrong in all of this is if you're depressed and if you say to yourself there's no hope. There's always hope. All of us have ups and all of us have downs. The more people we're surrounded by that love us, the longer we're going to last. If you don't have grandkids, adopt them. But it's a book that I would call take your pick. You pick from all of these things how you can have a better life.
And so Louis, you ought to you can go and sign up for the app yourself and get we have a what we call a gold glove or a white glove integration. So it's not, you just don't download the app. There will be someone who teaches you how to use it for
That's
20
fantastic.
to 30 minutes, and your listeners or viewers can do the same. It's at greatagereboot.com.
Yeah, we've got those links up if you forget, folks, or if you're on the move. But it's the Great Age Reboot is the name of the book. It's a Nat Geo book. It's available everywhere and everywhere online. I always like to say, please try to buy it as close to home as possible. You will be fascinated by this book. I've honestly, I read more and more, and I love the part about the posse and about we're human, we're meant to connect. So it's so multifaceted, but I just absolutely love learning about what is coming and what we can do now. And the other thing I just want to mention very briefly is, again, living longer and living younger. And I love that. So not just longer, but living
Yeah,
younger. So much of
that's what the aging mechanism research is all about. So, as I said, the joy is there are a whole bunch of things you can do now that give you a leg up in doing this.
I don't know if you can see how many pages I've got marked down in the book. I've got tons of questions, but I know you guys got a split. And I have to say that I am so grateful for what you did with this book and all the things, Dr. Roizen, that you've done. The Great Age Reboot, cracking the longevity code for a younger tomorrow is just amazing. I use the old hippie expression, it blew me away, blows me away. And I'm so delighted, so honored to have both of you and Albert Ratner, what a joy it was to, I didn't know you were going to do the gig this morning with us, and I'm delighted and honored. And of
So
course, Dr. Roizen, as all.
ask us again, Louis, and we'll come back. So
Seriously?
sure.
Okay. I'd love to spend, you know me, Dr. Roizen.
You
I'll
can
be
watch us play ping pong on Zoom.
oh God, that would be a riot. That would be a riot. I'm so grateful for the time.
Thank you.
It's
No,
wonderful.
we're honored. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Roizen, Albert Ratner, thank you both so very much. Folks, you've got to get the book, because the book is, there it is. The book is absolutely fantastic, because you will learn when you start reading it.